What's going on here?
Stephen King's book got rejected 30 times before it was actually published. What does that mean? Well, yeah, the publishers were idiots. But at the same time, Stephen King persevered. He didn't let failure defy him. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually part of success. And that's what today's guest is actually going to teach us a little bit about. He's reinvented himself time and time again. He started up Garage Nation. He's been a singer, producer, writer, director, and he's even got his own drinks out right now. And we know where that got 50 Cent. 100 million, baby. So welcome, Terry Stone.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Sean.
Lovely to have you, man.
I just wanted to just say one thing. I'm actually the worst singer in the world. So.
Did I say singer?
You said singer,
oh,
yeah.
No.
So I definitely don't want to claim that one. I did have singing lessons once.
Okay.
Because there was a karaoke thing at a friend's birthday.
Right.
And
What did you sing?
No, because I was such a bad singer, I just thought, I'm going to have singing lessons so I can at least hold a note. And I did like 3 or 4 lessons. And the parting comment from the woman that was teaching me she said, whatever you do, don't get drunk, right? She said, don't get drunk, sing, and then get drunk, right? So I was like, fine. But then because I was at this thing and it was like people are going up singing and you're thinking, wow, these people are really good. I'm just going to have Bacardi and Coke just to, sort of settle my nerves. So I sort of had a Bacardi and Coke and then I was a bit like, I'd have another Bacardi and Coke, and I probably had about 4 or 5. So when I went on, I thought I was brilliant. But when the video came out, it was like somebody was strangling a cat. So
great.
I've not taken up singing as a career.
So can I ask you, how do you feel about public speaking when you get up on a stage and you have to perform? How does it make you feel? Do you get anxious, or is it something you take in your stride now?
I think anybody who has to do any type of speaking, whether it's coming on a podcast, whether it's acting in a movie, whether it's standing up at somebody's wedding trying to tell some jokes, or whether it is public speaking, to an audience. I think everybody gets nervous. But I think when you actually get up there and do it, then I think sometimes you can get up on a stage and say a few things. And obviously I think to somebody who's lived like probably multiple lives in a short space of time, you have got lots of stories and lots of things you can share.
Yes.
And I think, to you, it's sort of just like, that's what happened. But to other people, it's either really funny or it's like, I can't believe that happened, So I think to be able to share, your journey or your stories with people, it's a good thing. And, I don't really get nervous anymore. But I think just before you're going to go on, you sort of, because a lot of people have like prompt cards or they have like scripts or they have, memory cards or whatever. I try to do it sort of off the cuff. So I don't really have a plan because I think if it's planned, I think the problem is if someone's heard you speak once, they know what you're going to say. So it's always going to do that again, So I always try to mix it up a little bit.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Even I'm going to take that tip
Right.
now. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to have a few bullet points just to keep you going, just to stay on topic. But
and you can talk about things and you can say, has anyone ever been to a rave? Yeah, I went to your raves, oh, which one did you go to? What was it like? You know what I mean? And then you can start talking about the acting and the producing and different things. And, I think everybody's had a bad job, you know what I mean? So I think also, I've had loads of bad jobs. So I think that's also part of the sort of character building, process.
You've done so many different things. If you could put your finger on one thing right now, what's been the highlight so far?
When you say a highlight, what do you mean? What's the best thing?
What's the thing that sticks out in your memory and say, I really enjoyed doing that? And I know you're always reinventing yourself all the time.
Do you know what's really weird? Like, when I left school, my first job was in McDonald's. And I know you said that you worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So all the best people work at McDonald's. I mean, that's a fact, right?
I nearly got sacked on my first day,
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't say it was the highlight, right? It was probably one of the lowest things because when you work at McDonald's, you have to do everything. You have to clean the toilets, you have to sweep the floor, you have to pick the rubbish up, you have to lift the boxes out of the lorry. You know, there is no job that's off limits. But you know, so I didn't go. And back then it was £2.65 an hour, so it was slave labour. But when you turned up and you did that, it was sort of like, wow, you know, this is. And I used to say to myself, this is so shit. If I can do this, I can do anything. And that was my mindset. And I think the good parts of McDonald's was, you know, it taught you, you know, you have to work in a team. You have to make sure if that's your job, you execute it well. And obviously, if you do it well, then you get a star. Right? And then when you get 5 stars, you've got a
training squad.
Or you can be a training manager, or you can go on lobby house. So there was all these different sort of spin-offs. And obviously, the more stars you got, the more money you got. So they incentivize you for working hard. And I think a lot of the stuff that I went through there sort of give me a good grounding for later on. But highlights, I mean, you know, again, you know, I mean, I did a short stint, probably 2 years in sales, and I had a great time working at Alders. Then I went on the road as a sales rep. So that was really good fun, really good times. Then obviously recession come in '89, and everything went wrong. Lost my job, was on the dole, and then obviously I sort of fell into the sort of club scene. And you know, I think in my darkest days when I was earning 40 quid every 2 weeks on the dole, and I couldn't get a job, and I was living in a council flat with my mum because we lost our house because of the recession.
So where did it all start for you, Terry? Like, you know, where did it all start? Where was you actually born, and what was your parents doing?
So I was born in South London, and my dad worked for Tesco's, so he would have like a flat. Because he worked obviously for Tesco, so we sort of lived above the shop really. So we sort of bounced around London. We was in Kingston, we was in Brixton, and then we ended up going out to Bracknell in Berkshire.
Okay. What was that change like?
Well, it was weird because like in London, you sort of just walk downstairs and you're in the centre of everything, and then you're kind of out in the country, and it's weird. But I think I can't remember the actual timeline, but say I moved there when I was 7. So I had probably 7 years in London as a kid. And then my mum worked in a scaffolding company.
Wow.
She was like an office manager, and my dad was, you know, regional manager for Tesco. So they were always kind of working. You know, my nan kind of brought me up. So she was like my substitute mother while my mum and dad went out and worked. You know, I think when I look back on that growing up thing, I didn't really have any mentors. I never really had anybody to say, you need to get your exams, you need to do your work, you know. And I think my mum and dad split up when I was 12. And I think that made me angry with the world. And I think at that point, then I spent, you know, being disruptive at school, fighting, just being fucking nuisance, basically. You know, I left school with no qualifications. That's why I ended up working in McDonald's. But, you know, I think education's obviously changed now, but I think back then it was like, oh, you got to get your qualifications, you got to go to university, and then you'll get a job. And what it was, the teachers really were backward in that they would actually, like, as an example, when I did my, you know, I didn't even do O-levels, I did CSEs, which was like the bottom, right? And I got the lowest grade in each one. But I remember that they sent a careers officer in to basically say, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, what do you want to do as your career? And I sort of said, look, you know, I love boxing. I actually would like to be a boxing promoter or a boxing manager, you know, or a boxing trainer, but I want to do something around boxing. Yeah, okay. Now, but what do you really want to do? No, that's what I really want to do, right? And it was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And then in front of the whole school, the headmaster went up on stage. He said, look, I'm going to wish you all well. Some of you are going to go to university. Some of you are going to do your A-levels. Some of you are going to go to college. Some of you are going to leave and get a job. And he said, we've had some really interesting comments about what people want to do, and we've had some ridiculous comments. And he read my one out. has been the ridiculous comment. And I remember looking at him and I was thinking, you're actually fucking humiliating me in front of all these people because I don't tick your box, right? And then obviously if you look at Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, they've obviously made a lot of money out of being boxing promoters. And there's like famous boxing managers, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, you know. So when you actually look at these, it wasn't actually that stupid.
No, it wasn't.
Right? It was like, I like boxing,
Yeah.
I box, and, you know, I know the sport, right? And I was like, this is what I wanted to work in. So, you know, they should have encouraged me. But the biggest regret, I'd say, from school was nobody ever really taught you about business. So if you decided you wanted to go into business, and I made loads of mistakes, you know what I mean? I didn't know that you had to pay tax. I didn't know that, you know, if you have a certain amount of money, you had to register for VAT. I didn't know you had to get an accountant. I didn't know you had to get a lawyer. So all the things that I ended up learning, I had to fall over and then get picked back up. And then somebody said, oh, no, you need an accountant. Or what's an accountant? Well, they add up, you know, your books and they tell you what you got to pay tax-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you know one? Oh, yeah, I do. Boom. So I think as you go through it, you become self-taught. But if somebody at school had said, for any of you guys that want to set up your business, you need to get an accountant. You need to, and explain the difference between a sole trader, limit company, explain, you know, that you have to pay tax and you have to keep records and you have to do invoices. And if you turn over this amount of money, you know, so you'd at least have some sort of pack or some sort of tool so that if you went, I don't really want McDonald's, so I want to open a corner shop or I want to sell widgets on the internet or I want to, I don't know, clean people's cars or I want to clean people's windows, at least you'll know. But if I'm going to do that and you might clean 5 cars and then nobody else wants you to clean their car. But if you're cleaning 10 cars a day and all of a sudden at the end of the week you're going, wow, you know, I'm earning 3 or 4 grand a week now cleaning cars. All of a sudden you think, well, actually, why don't I set up a limited company? Why don't I do this? Why don't I do that? But obviously if nobody's told you how to do it, you don't know how to do it. You know, you put the money in your bank account and you just cruise along thinking, you know, this is only going to last a couple of months and I get a proper job. And then a year later, you're thinking, oh, I'm actually still doing this. Maybe I should get an accountant. And then, you know, and what happened to me was I turned over the VAT limit, but I didn't know.
Right.
So then this accountant that I found just literally wrote to the HMRC and said, oh, you know, I'm acting with this client. He's turned over the VAT limit. So they've just written it back, gone, oh, great, you know, well, you owe us 10 grand or whatever it was.
Wow.
And at the time, it was like, and I remember bringing this account up saying, shouldn't you have actually spoke to me first and said, you know, you've turned over the VAT limit. All them people that you've worked for, you can actually send them a letter and say, look, I've turned over the VAT limit. I should have invoiced you for VAT. I'm going to invoice you. Most of the people pay VAT anyway.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have minded. They'd have just paid. But instead, you had someone knocking on your door saying, you owe us this money. We need you to pay it. And it was like, well, and at the time I thought I didn't have 10 grand. So I was like, how am I going to pay this money? But then when I actually got rid of that account and found a proper accountant that was actually working with you, they was like, it's not a problem. What you need to do, you need to ring all these people up that you've worked for after this period. And you have to just say to them, I should have invoiced you for VAT. I need to invoice you. I think out of, you know, 10 people, 1 wasn't VAT registered. So I had to take that on the chin. But if I'd have known that in advance, then I would have sent them the VAT invoice and they would have paid it. But because they didn't pay it, and then in fact they were going, well, you know, it's your fault. You didn't invoice me. Do you know what I mean? So it's a small thing, but the thing is, all of that stuff would have saved me all the aggravation, and I'd have set it up in the right manner from day one, and then I'd have just, you know, carried through, you know, and
Absolutely. Look, there's an important thing that you said there, Terry. It's like certain people. Sometimes we just go to, you know, sometimes the cheapest person as well, or any sort of accountant. But sometimes it's so important to have the right people in your team.
Absolutely.
Because when you're building a business, it's not just about yourself. It's about your solicitor around you, your accountant, your legal advisors around you, your agents. You know, it's never just I. I is like the first thing you see, but to make you successful and save you money and make you more money, sometimes there's, you know, better specialist people around you. And another thing that you said is, you know, to do with school, really. I mean, it feels like the schooling system is just getting you ready to be, you know, for an employed job, to go into the system.
And I don't know if it's like that now, but because I'm not at school now, but the way I look at it, it's very difficult if you're a teacher and you're on whatever money you get paid as for being a teacher, and then people are coming through the school, and to you a proper job is being a teacher, or a proper job is working in an office, or a proper job is working in an accountancy firm, right? But to somebody else, that might not be a proper job. They might want to be a singer or a rapper or an influencer, or they might want to sell watches, right? They might want to do property, So just because they don't want to do what you think they should do, I think that's the negative side of schooling. There's like this set thing of things that people need to be taught, and you sort of think, you can't teach common sense at school, right? But the thing is, they can teach things, which help people think. And I think the problem with a lot of academics that I've met, throughout my life, some of them are grounded, and some of them you can have a conversation with, and they're exceptionally bright. But some of them can't look you in the eye.
No.
They're super bright.
Yeah.
But and they could tell you anything you want to know.
They could send you a good email.
But the reality is, would you want them, on your team, And I think the danger with education, I think it's important that people are educated, but I think teaching people to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and think and come up with ideas and be creative, just because your mum and dad worked in an office, or your mum and dad had a business doing whatever, doesn't mean that you have to go into that. Do you know what I mean? The beautiful thing I think about the internet is anybody can be anything they want, right? And I think, people always go, I really want to be an influencer, but how do I be an influencer? And it is that simple. You get a smartphone, and you can just talk utter shit into the smartphone and post it. And if people find it funny, they will follow you. And somebody might go, this guy should be on a stage. And all of a sudden you're on a stage. Or someone spots you and thinks, actually, I want to put him in my movie. Or on the other side, people do all sorts of things. They get dressed and undressed. They talk about their clothes. They talk about the gym, or they talk about their life, or they talk about
what they're interested in,
what they're eating, or what they're cooking, and people follow it because they're interested in it. So I think anybody with that phone can potentially become a content creator and get paid for it. So that wasn't there when I was around. There was no social media. So everything was bits of paper, and, you had to work. People always go, oh, you had it easy. We had to graft, right? When we put on our events, we run 2 of the biggest club nights in the world, One Nation and Garage Nation. One Nation is drum and bass. Garage Nation is UK Garage. And, we were doing some months 20 events. And when you're doing that amount of events, it's a lot of work. You've got to get the flyers ready, People license the name, so people would take on the risk. But then we still have to say to them, there's a logo, who's the lineup, and what do you want from us? So there was a lot of work to do, and a lot of it was on the phone. A lot of it was, writing letters. Some of it was printing up, 100,000 flyers and actually going around the country putting these flyers in record shops, because that was the way. Back in the day, people would go and buy vinyl, or tape packs, or CD packs, or merchandise, and they go in a record shop, and there'd be 200 record shops up down the country. So someone had to go around and put the flyers in each shop. So when you walk in, you go, what's that? Oh, One Nation. I'll buy a ticket for that. You got tickets? Yeah, I've got tickets. I'll have one. So there was all that. Then you had to go outside the club. So most of these clubs finish at 4, 5, 6 in the morning up down the country. So you had teams of people outside these clubs giving flyers out. And that was how you promoted stuff back then. And that was our graft.
That was your social media.
Who wants to go? Who wants to get up at 3 in the morning to drive to a nightclub? So you're outside at 5 in the morning. You're out. And bear in mind, most people hadn't been out. So if I hadn't been out, I've got to get up at 3 in the morning, drive an hour and a half outside the club, stand outside the club. And this country is not known for its climate, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be sort of freezing your nuts off, and people would be coming out of these clubs sort of spangled. They will be all like that, and you'd be giving them flyers, and then you literally get in the car and go back home and go to bed. So that would be 3 or 4 nights a week. So there was a lot of that stuff. But obviously now you can just, if you can put your event on social media,
DM somebody, pass it on,
or you can register, and then they just send out a group message to everyone and say,
yes,
the
get
event's
them on
here,
a subscription list.
Here's the link to the tickets, bang. So back in the day, we had physical tickets that you'd have to put in the shops. We did Ticketmaster as well. Some people booked through Ticketmaster, some people booked through the shops, some people pound the door on the night. But again, it was so complicated. Now it's so easy. So now is actually a lot easier to do anything because of the internet, because of that power of, you can put it on Yeah, and if you've got a few famous DJs or a few famous friends and you say, I'm doing an event, can you share it? Can you promote it? Can you let people know? I push it out and then all their mates want to come. So I think it's a lot easier to get to people now. But I think the downside of that is I think we are getting overloaded with too much information. And I think it's in a weird sort of power shift. Like in the old days, a lot of things were visual. So if you saw an advert in the newspaper, you'd remember it. If you saw an advert on the billboard, you'd remember it. If somebody give you a flyer, you'd remember it. But now, because everywhere you go, it's like you're being sold to,
Yeah.
the only thing you're really looking at is your phone. And when you look at that phone, everything's on the phone. So that's how you sell people now, on the phone.
So how can you be different? How can you be remembered?
Well, I think the problem is everybody's the only disadvantage of the internet is that everybody is on there, right? So everybody can, and everybody's trying to get followers, everybody's trying to get interaction, everyone's trying to do something different. You know, I'm 52, so I'm probably the least qualified to be a social media guru or to talk about, you know, how to do your social media. But people that I've spoken to have just said, look, you know, you should film your day. You know, we should
Day in your life.
we should do some stuff here today when we finish. And you know, it's good for you because it promotes the podcast, but it's also good for me because people go, oh, Terry's, you know, doing a podcast today. And I think the things that we don't think are important or irrelevant, other people want to know, you know, where are you today? What are you doing today? What are you eating today? What are you wearing today? You know, I think people just become like a nation of stalkers.
People are nosy. People are nosy. Do you know, even we go and do street interviews sometimes,
Right.
and some of them go viral, like 50,000 views. And you went, how did that? Because people are just nosy. They want to know what the answer to that question is. Like, I think there's a technique also. And, you know, even when I'm designing like social media posts,
Right.
my some of my editors would tell me to say the most controversial things or the opposite things, like, you shouldn't get into property. Property is the worst decision. But then turn it around going, but actually, that's what they're saying.
Right.
So it's already created an emotion and that hook to allow them to watch and go, it's worked for this many years.
But if you look at, you know, Andrew Tate
Yes.
and Donald Trump and people like this, you know, why have they got millions of followers? Why do people love them and by equal means hate them? And it's because, you know, they say things which are controversial or what everybody's thinking, but nobody actually wants to say.
True.
And that is also, I think, you know, when some of the things that Trump says, like loads of people I know were, you know, they were sort of like, you've got one side that love him, one side that hate him.
Yeah.
And the people that love him say that it's like you don't know what he's going to say. And then he just says the most outrageous things, and that's why he's funny. But then the people that hate him say, you know, he's this and he's that, and he's anti this, he's anti that. He's, you know, there's a long list of things. But you know, I saw the appeal of Trump because when he came out, I had so many people all saying, "Oh, Clinton's going to win," you know, blah blah. And you know, educate people, like really smart people, will say, "No, Clinton's going to win." Trump's, you know, the joke candidate. He's never going to get in. And I said, "Well, I think he will get in." And they were like, "Why'd you say that?" And I said, "Because he says things that are so outrageous." And it's like, and whether he's acting or whether he's actually like that in real life, I don't know because I've never met him. But I think when he says stuff, people go, "Oh my God," you know. I mean, I can't believe you just said that. And then you're thinking this could be the president. But then I think in America, you've obviously got a lot of people that, you know, you've got a lot of people that, you know, respond to. If they think that's what he's just speaking off the cuff, because what a lot of politicians do, and they do it all around the world, is they have like a polling thing. So they get told by their, you know, comms people, talk about this, talk about that, don't say this, don't say that. You mustn't say this because you upset these people. So what they're trying to do is be everything to everybody. And obviously in real world, you know, you can't be everything to everybody. You either have a view or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you have a view, and this is one of the things that annoys me about cancel culture, because you get all these people getting cancelled for
Yeah, I
either.
was going to just ask you about this, like, you know, because you're in the media quite a lot, different movies and stuff. Like, do you have to be careful about what you say? Because there's so many people getting cancelled left, right, and centre all of a sudden.
I tell what it is, right? And you know, it's like if you had David Walliams. This happened to David Walliams, right?
Yes.
So he's on Britain's Got Talent, and he's obviously got a mic on, right? And like everybody's talking, everyone's doing, and then obviously when in between them filming,
Yeah.
they're having conversations, right? And with David Walliams, if you watch him on the show, he just does a banter. You know, he says things to people. He winds Simon up. You know, he has a laugh with Amanda. You know, he's one of those characters that, you know, he likes winding people up. And the thing is, you know, so I think he called someone an idiot or Wally or something. He said something basically bad about one of the contestants. And then someone's obviously leaked it to the press and said, oh, you know, David Walliams said that they were a retard or they were dumb or an idiot or whatever he said. I don't know what he said. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you know, that's terrible, you know, making fun of the contestants and all the rest of it. They're trying to do something good. And I think what it is, you know, people can make an inappropriate joke or say a comment or have an opinion on something. And because people don't think that's the right thing, you know, and some people get cancelled publicly, some people get cancelled where they just don't work. And then people go, why aren't I working? And it's like, I don't know. But, you know, so I think, you know, everybody is, and it doesn't matter if you're Goldman Sachs, you're on a film set, or you're working at McDonald's, right? Everybody now is hypersensitive about, you know, what people say, what people do. You know, well, one of my friends used to do a Christmas party and he had like 200 staff. And, you know, if anybody's ever been to a Christmas party with that amount of people, people get drunk, people say silly things, people, you know, try and chat each other up, or there's a girl they fancy, or there's a guy they fancy, or someone has an affair with someone's wife or husband, you know. That's just what happens when you've got 200 people in a room all drunk, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, he said, I'm actually going to cancel my Christmas party. And I said, why? And he said, because, you know, if somebody acts inappropriately, you know, it's going to be my fault. You know, if somebody gets drunk and hits someone, it's my fault. If, you know, because I've given them too much drink. A guy said to me the other day, he had a Christmas party and they had a famous DJ playing, and the DJ played some rap music. And in one of the rap music, I think, you know, one of the rappers was saying, you know, what they say. And then one of the, and it's always stupid. I always find it funny that, like, you know, people get offended by things that shouldn't really offend them. But they actually, 3 people got offended by a rap song that this DJ played and said it triggered them and it's upset them. And they've got to have counselling because of the inappropriate lyrics in this rap song. And you're sort of thinking, you're at a Christmas party and you're having a fun, right? And he didn't play the rap song to upset you. It's rap song.
It's just what's trending right now.
It's just what people are listening to. So if you don't like lyrics, you know, saying that you've been triggered and you've got to have counselling because of you know, it's upset you and it's ruined your Christmas. You think, are these people just doing this because
attention?
That they either want to try and get a payout or they're doing it genuinely because, and I don't know why people, you know, when I grew up, you know, people used to say the most outrageous and the most worst things.
Absolutely.
Right? And you used to just sort of, but going through that and growing up through that, what I think it does, it gives you resilience so that in the real life, in the real world, when somebody does say something to you that you don't like, you don't burst into tears or get, you know, throw yourself under a bus because you just go, okay, and then you say something back. You know, it's called banter. But
does this happen everywhere? Like, because I know you spend some time in Dubai and you hang out in different places. Is the culture same everywhere now, or is it mostly in the UK, do you feel?
I mean, I think it's definitely a UK, Europe, and American and Canadian thing where they've obviously brought in, you know, there's all these genders. You know, we mustn't say certain things. We must do this. We must do that. We must be diverse. So, and the thing is, I think some of this stuff is good, but I think some of it isn't good. And I think the problem is, you know, if you've got young people worrying about what gender they are or what they identify as, or, you know, it's like they've got so many things growing up. I remember growing up, I had so many like challenges and issues, and your hormones are going through you, and you know, you've got so many things happening in your life, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, you know, and loads of young people struggle. Am I in the right job? Am I with the right girl, with the right guy? You know, if you do feel attracted to the same sex, that may be playing on your mind. But I think with all this stuff that's happening now, it's like you're giving all this stuff for people to worry about, additional things
even
to
more
worry
stuff,
about.
yeah.
And it's like, why do we need to worry about it? If somebody wants to identify it as something or say this is my gender, that's absolutely fine. But I don't know why, the whole world has to have this constant debate. And, every day, there's, I mean, we see it, with whenever we make any content, people are always talking about, like, so if we fund a lot of our content privately. So we get private investors that will actually, put money into the film because they want to sponsor it, because they either believe in the film, they want to support the arts, or they just enjoy investing in high risk investments. But with, if we were doing it the other way, where we were going to broadcasters or we were going to streamers and saying, we have this movie, would you like to make it? Or we have this TV show, would you like to make it? And they look at it, they will say, you need to change this, you need to change that, it needs to be more diverse. So what's sort of happening is, because everybody's worried about upsetting everybody else. And the thing is, if you upset somebody and you work for a big company, then the big company is going to get dragged through the mud saying one of your employees has done this and it's offended this community or it's offended these people. And obviously, they all do then come to the table and all start complaining about, what you've done, what you've said. Why did you make that show? Why did you have that picture? Why did that person say? And everybody's worried about. Nobody wants to, upset anybody, or be accused of being, anti-trans or. There's so many rules now, and I think it's very difficult, but people, some people are, an older generation, people like, I can't think of her name now, I've gone completely blank, the woman who wrote Harry Potter.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling, right? So she's an amazing author, she's written all these books, and, she's made all these people famous, and they made them. Yeah, Warner Brothers have released their films, turned the books into the films, and obviously it's been a massive success. Yeah. So when you actually look at her, she has her opinion on it, right? And then everyone starts coming up with work, shooting her down, saying you're this, you're that. But genuinely, if that's her opinion, that's her opinion. It doesn't mean she's right or wrong. Mm-hmm. That's her opinion, right? And I genuinely believe everybody should be allowed to have their own opinion. Yeah. And their own views. And if you don't like my opinions, my views, I'm not going to want to beat you up or get upset about it. I just shake you around and say, look, we do agree to disagree. What are your opinions and views? And you say to me, well, I believe in this and I like this and I like that. And I'll go, well, I don't agree with you, but so what? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not what I believe and what I, think. If you don't, I don't know anybody in the world that agrees with everybody else.
How does this make you feel as a filmmaker with all these other things that you've got to be sensitive about, the pronouns and working with a diverse community? And you're like, look, I just bloody want to make this movie right now.
I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you, right? All it's done is, as I said, it's add layers of complexities to things. And then people are sort of like, in the old days, people would just make a film or people would write scripts and it would be based on reality. But now people are saying, well, and it's like, if we make a film today, it might not be out for you, right? So you don't know what's going to happen in a year.
So much is
all of a sudden, there could be some stuff in that script that's going to upset somebody because it's unacceptable anymore. So you've always got to try and think ahead. And I think with technology moving on so fast,
very fast,
you do end up going down a path, and then all of a sudden you go, I've got to change direction now because everything's changed. So I think all this stuff does, it just makes everything more challenging, but, which is good in a way, because then it means that people do fall by the wayside. And, in business, business is challenging. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So but I do look at it and I do sort of think, we've got a war going on in Russia and Ukraine, right? We've got issues potentially with China now wanting to do something with Taiwan. You've got inflation, you've got all of these problems in the world, and it's sort of, for me, it's like we're focusing on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
I think all of this stuff is important, but I just think that for me, if I was in government, I'd want to somehow fix that war because it doesn't benefit anybody. You know, if Russia loses, who really wins? There's all them people that have died. There's all of the inconvenience that everybody's suffered in the world.
All the buildings been destroyed, infrastructure.
There's no winners, right? There is never any winners in war, right? So for me, it's like we're meant to live in a civilized society.
Yeah.
So why can't people just get around the
Especially
table?
in this day and age. Yeah, exactly.
Get around the table, work it out. What's the problem here? What do you want? This is what I want. Let's just shake hands on it and move on. And then everyone can get back to their life. But, that's that. Maybe it's just that's too simple.
Yes. So, Terry, let's bring it a little bit back now. And you're in McDonald's. And, where do you go from McDonald's? Because you've left school now. You've done your first job.
Well,
and how do you start your first business sort of thing?
Well, I think one of the best lines in McDonald's, "May I help you, please?" That was one of the best lines because it's like, "May I help you, please?" And it used to annoy me saying it, but then, as I said, things stay with you, right? So when I actually started doing my first business was I ended up going to a rave, and I was not into drugs. I was not into, for me, going to a club would be, and this is the 80s, right? It was sticky carpets, pints. There'd be a one DJ all night, and he would play what he would call the erection section, which would probably get him cancelled now, right? But he and it was like Luther Vandross, Alexander O'Neill, Whitney Houston, so all the love songs, right? And then you walk up to a girl and say, "Oh, do you want to dance?" And it was a terrible dance. It was like, "You older to me, you don't know."
Two steps.
And then it was like that. And then you sort of be like, what are you doing afterwards? Should we go and get a kebab? Really smooth, right? And then you'd either get a kebab, and then you go in with a girl, or you probably have a fight, or you'd be really drunk, and then you'd probably end up being sick somewhere. So that was my experience of clubbing in the 80s.
Right.
And I was sort of running and boxing. I was in good shape when I was sort of 17, 18. And then somebody said to me, "Oh, why don't we go to a rave?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't want to go to a rave. People take drugs in raves and, you can die." And, because obviously you read what in the paper. And I think that's one of the issues with, the internet and with newspapers is, people put stuff on there and you just go, and if you've never been to a rave, you go, "Well, that's what happens in a rave. People take drugs and they die." So then you go, "Well, I definitely want to go to one of them," right? So then I went to one after months of people pestering me. And I remember walking into this rave, and there was probably 3,000 people in this rave. And there was loads and loads of really good-looking women in sort of, little hot pants and little sort of bikini tops. And everyone was smiling. And I walked in and I just thought, it's a bit weird. Normally everyone, the guys would have their shirts on, their trousers and the shoes, and the girls would have the dresses on everywhere. So it was like it was like literally walking into a different world. And I remember this girl come up to me, she said, "Oh, do you want to have a dance?" And just took me off to have a dance with her. And I was just like going, "I like this. The girl's chatting us up. We don't have to ask him to dance. They're asking us to dance." And then
Are they still about these raves?
yeah, of course, right. But I remember literally walking out of this rave and thinking, wow, there was no trouble. Everyone was so friendly. I got a couple of girls' phone numbers, and I just thought, wow, I don't want to go to sticky nightclubs anymore. I want to go out raving. And then, it was like, but it's so expensive. How do I afford to go to a rave? And when I was walking out the rave having this conversation with myself, there were some guys giving out flyers. And I said, "Oh, who do you work for?" And they said, "Oh, we're a company called the Flying Squad." I said, "Oh, do they pay you?" Yeah. We all get like £10 a head, give out the flyers. "Do you get in the club for free?" Yeah. They give us guest list and all that. So I've gone home and I'm thinking, all my mates go raving, right? So I thought, if I go to them and say, "Listen, guys, I'll get you all in for free, right? But I need you to come out and give some flyers out. But I'm getting paid for it. Is that okay?" Right? Then, I thought, I've got nothing to lose. So Said that to all my mates. They all went, absolutely, because it's saving them 20 quid to get in.
Simple.
I've got 10 or 15 mates, so that means I'm getting 150 quid. I'm getting a free night out and 150 quid at the end. So I thought, that's a good night out. So then I rang this company up and said, right, I've got 10, 15, 20, however many you want. So then literally the guy's gone, all right, we'll give you a go. So I went up to London, got the flyers in a car, went back home, and then, we went out Thursday, Friday and Saturday night and done a flying. And I'm sitting there Monday morning thinking, wow, I've just done £450. I've gone out 3 nights on the spin. It's cost me nothing. I've had great times with, my mates and with, different women that I've met. So I was just thinking, I'm actually getting paid to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And the only downside is I've got to stand outside for an hour and give out some flyers at 6 in the morning. So I thought, I could do that. 3 hours work, 450 quid. So brilliant. I then people started talking. So people would go, oh, Terry gets in the clubs for free, but we'll give out flyers. So then I had loads of people ringing me up, going, oh, we'll give out some flyers for you. Can you get us in the club free? So then I started getting a real group of people.
Yeah.
And then I looked on the back of these flyers and there was nobody selling tickets where I lived. So I just rung up all the promoters and said, listen, it's really weird. I work for the flyers for giving out your flyers, but there's nobody in my whole county selling your tickets. I said, Surrey's a big place, right? So I said, why don't you put me down as a ticket tap for Surrey? So he was like, okay. So then I got on one flyer, then I got on all the flyers. And then people, would ring up and say, I want to buy 2 tickets, 5 tickets, 10 tickets. But the tickets then were always like 20, 25. So when you got 10% booking fee, which is what we used to put on top, that's another £2 to £2.50 a ticket. Yeah. And nobody would buy one, right? So people would go, I want 5, I want 10. And then what I did was I'd say, right, I don't do a delivery service, but I'm in Camberley, right, in Surrey. So I said, and there was famous sports shops there that people used to, all over, Surrey, would go to the sports shop and they'd have, back then it was like Troop, Fila, LS, all that sort of stuff. So people would drive there to get the new tracksuit and they'd get all their raving gear, because all the guys used to wear tracksuits and T-shirts and stuff. And the girls did as well. So I used to just say, right, meet me in the car park at 1 o'clock on a Saturday, right? So I just drive down there and literally there was this big rave, 30,000 people, I think it was, in Basingstoke in a field somewhere. And I remember literally my phone was just going nuts all day. I had 1,000 tickets, right, at 25 quid. And literally I remember driving to the car park at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And as I pulled in the car park, there was just crowds of people, like 1,000 people, all waiting, all like, I got out of the car and I've just like got mobbed. Oh yeah, 5 tickets, 10 tickets. So I'm just like that.
Wow.
And that was like £2,500. Like, it probably took me 2 hours, right? The guy in the sports shop loved it because everyone was like buying the tickets and going in and buying trainers, T-shirts, whatever, hats, whatever.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, so it's like, I should have said to him, I want a commission on everything you're selling because these are all my people, But that was, just one event. So then you go, wow. So when you start adding it up, I was earning a really good living. I wasn't rich by any means, but I mean, I was earning good money. And then I think around, and it might be 92 or 93, I can't remember, but I thought actually, I wouldn't mind getting on the property ladder. And obviously, because the property prices were for free, they're probably 90 grand. They were
in which area?
In Camberley.
Okay.
Sorry. So I think they were around 90 grand, and I think they dropped down to like 53.
Okay.
So they'd already dropped, and then they'd gone up a little bit. And the first house I bought was 53,000, and I remember literally just doing one.
Did you buy it with a mortgage? Or?
Yeah. No. So I put a deposit down and got a mortgage on it, and then I went to the council and said, "Oh, got this property. I want to rent it out, for 3 or 4 years. Do you need any properties?" And they went, "Yeah, we do." And when I did the maths on it, it was sort of like, I think the mortgage was something like 300 quid a month. And I think if I did it through them, they give you like 650 a month.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, wow, so I'm making 350 a month, but I'm getting the mortgage paid.
Yeah.
Right. And the council are not going to not pay me. And if the people do mess up the house, or break anything, the council got to put it right. So I just thought, you know what, I might be able to get an
brainer.
extra 100 quid or 200 quid doing it privately, but then you've got all the aggro of paying an agent and doing this. And then, they don't then put it right. So I just thought, for the sake of it, I'll do it. So I did one. So then I was sort of doing one a year. But what I should have done in hindsight, and again, if you haven't got a mentor or someone actually teaching you or telling you what to do, you make mistakes. And the mistake I made was only buying one a year. And when I got to the end of the road with it, and I decided actually I'm probably going to come out this now, what I should have done is gone, rather than selling the houses off and then paying the tax on it, what I should have done is gone, right, let's draw out all the equity.
Refinance
And go again and buy another 10 or 20. Yeah. And then obviously then I've had...
And that's tax-free as well when you take that money out.
But the thing is, nobody told me that. And I'd looked at it, and most of the properties I had are doubled or trebled in value. And I think when you look at it that way, you think, wow, I've already been in a house that my mum and dad owned that's gone wrong, right? Because it went up to 15%. And
that was early 90s.
Yeah. And I was like, that's what could happen. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be sitting there going, oh, I've got this property portfolio and, I've got all this equity. And then obviously that happens and then it goes like that. And I'm sat there going, oh, I should have sold. So I made the mistake of selling the properties. So that was the only mistake. But then, look, I made money, right? But the mistakes were I could have not paid as much tax or any tax. And I could have literally double, treble, quadruple what I had. And then obviously where it was still going up, and obviously, if you bought a house at, I think I bought some houses at 100 grand, but those houses now are like 250, 300. So if I'd have kept them, I'd have still had all that equity in them. And obviously if you've got if you've got a mortgage for 100 grand and and I don't want to rent it now, but say on something like that, it's 1,300 quid a month.
Yeah.
So you're earning even more money. So for me, I look back at that and I just think, I wish somebody had actually sat me down and said, Terry, this is what you need to do. And I think that's, again, I've got no regrets about it because I made money, right? So the worst thing was I could have lost money. So for me, as long as I've made money, I don't care, right? In the long grand scheme of things. But, this is also a good lesson for other people because if you do get involved in something, it's always good to actually find somebody who knows.
Educate yourself.
Yeah. And look, just because you've got an accountant doesn't mean they're going to be able to give you the right advice. You need to find someone, if you're in property, if you're in film. And with all these things, it's about structure, right? Even when things are, people say, I've got this business model and I've got this plan and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And when I get the plan on this, it's going to be worth that. That's great as long as it all works. But, there's sometimes things that happen that are out of your control. And even things, that are guaranteed where people go, oh, the bank's going to lend me this money when we get the plan and it's worth this. There is no guarantees in life. Everything you do is a risk. And for me, I just think if you are doing well at anything or you are making money at doing whatever you're doing, you should always look for people in that space and say to them, I'm in this space, I'm doing this stuff. What should I do? I'm thinking of selling them, I'm thinking of doing this, and get some advice. Most people won't sit down and say, hold a minute, I'll give you the advice, but I won't pay. Most people are quite happily share, do you know something? You should do this. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you ring the accountant up and say, oh, can I do this? And the accountant's like, yeah. You're like, why don't you tell me?
They're so passive sometimes, aren't they? They're so passive sometimes. But you're absolutely right. Like, even if you do have to pay for advice, like, we've got to change our mindset. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
This piece of advice that you sit down with a £200 or £300 consultation can save you thousands, if not millions sometimes. If you're on a trajectory and you're thinking, I want to, make my business more successful, I want to do better in life, and you've got a long-term view in something very small, like, as you said, like, you sold some of your houses, but now you've looked back, they're 200,000-300,000 up in value. Over 3 of them, easily nearly £1 million. So what would have been a £200 sort of consultation? So you're absolutely right. And, honestly, thank you for sharing that sort of that point there.
No, do you know what? It was something, again, I think And it's funny because it's that thing where you think, well, if I go into property again, that's good to know for the future. But I think the problem with and I think that the way that the world worked previously is every certain amount of years you would have some sort of recession, you would have the property prices drop, and then there'd be different things going on. But I think if you look at where we are now, and if you said, you can buy 3-bedroom house for anywhere between 250 and 350, depending on where it is. If you're in London, obviously it's going to be a lot more. What shall we get involved in the property game? Obviously now the deposit you have to put in and the money you have to tie up and the actual figures don't work, right? So I think if you've got the money to buy a house outright and then just go, actually, I'll rent it out and I'll have that as income, then I think that's, a good way of doing it. But I think if you actually said, what do I need to put down? And most people now, they want 20%.
Yeah. So there's really creative ways now. You can JV with people. You can get 10 people, just like I think you've done in the past, like raising money for a film.
Right.
You can say to 10 investors, look, we've got this property here. Yeah, it's worth 52,000 right now, but on the market it will be worth £85,000.
Right.
Everybody put 10 in the pot. 5 of us. We'll
Right.
buy it cash.
Right.
We'll do it up, so it's it's worth
Right.
like 85,000 now. Then we'll ask the bank for a loan. I'll get all the money back, and I give all your money back plus 5 to 10% interest back.
Right.
There are some creative ways that.
But then if you do that, do they still stay in that, or you buy them out?
Then you're telling them, look, I can get you more on your money.
Yeah.
Right now, rather than in the bank, it's getting you a 2%. I'll give you 5 or 7%.
Right.
And you can see how I do this.
Right.
So you're actually seeing how I do it, so you can do it next time as well.
Right.
We'll put it in the pot. There are some creative
But
ways.
where I take it those houses are up north, right?
Yeah, so there's another guy who TED Talks. He does this. He bought 15 houses in 9 months.
Wow.
And he's been on the podcast as well. He's done it in Wales, and then we've got certain places in Liverpool. Durham is one of the highest yielding places where you get really good rents, like 10% sort of return. So you've just got to be a little bit savvy, and if you are an expert, if you are around the right people, these people scan, they know how to look on Zoopla, what figures we're looking at, because yes, London is priced out.
Yeah.
London is just like your gold stock now.
It feels to me like if you was to draw a line across the UK from Watford,
Yes.
and then sort of obviously don't go to maybe the Thames Valley area and then back down to the south coast. I think that area, Kent and Essex included, the property prices they're all sort of around that sort of 250 to 350 mark.
I mean, you've just got to look at where you're living.
But what you were saying
What's the
about those
closest?
figures, that going back to what I was saying,
Yep.
that's how much the houses were,
Okay.
but down here when,
Yeah.
and obviously that makes sense then because you put in, 10%, and you're only borrowing 48, and then obviously the interest on that is whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, but but do you do your stuff with council or do you do it with?
It's all different because I'm a portfolio landlord. I've got a lot of risk involved,
Right.
even though I'm not highly leveraged because I bought in 2009, 2010 times. So I bought some stock for 180. That's worth 600,000-700,000 now.
Right.
Plenty of equity, and if I have borrowed, I've taken it from 150 loan to a 300. I'm still not up to my neck in it.
Right.
Some of them are HMOs, so young working professionals where they can't afford to buy right now.
Right.
Some are single dwelling houses with families, so they get a little bit of benefit. Husbands working, so you do your credit rating agency stuff, and then some of them are care homes, so they're government backed, through the council. And the newest ones I bought last August, a couple of they were two-bedroom flats all in one building, and that just went straight to the council. Little bit less rent, exactly how you explained, but security.
Right.
Next 2 years that rent is guaranteed now,
Right.
they do any extensive works to it.
Yeah.
My mortgage is fixed for 5 years, so I know exactly what's coming in and what's going out. So it isn't like one strategy will fit everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're all different, and do you know what the biggest thing is? Our mindsets are all different.
Yeah.
How do you handle when the market goes down 50%? How does that make you feel? Because to me, I'm like, well, I know what's happening on the big time frame. We're going to go through a little blip. We're under the line. This amount of time, we're going to come up. All right, let's stick through it. I'm going to carry on working in this job just in case shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Another person might saying, look, I've just lost half my money and can't stick it, and let me sell it at a loss and never ever go in that, into the property industry again. So this is what the most important thing is, and this is why we talk so much about mindset and learning
Right.
from our failures. Is how does our mind conceive, what we're seeing? How do we deal with something? And this is why we should also educate ourselves, put ourselves around the right mentors in the fields that we want to be, because we're going to go, this guy's seen this a couple of times already, or he knows what's going on. He'll mentor me, teach me. And if I can stick what he's telling me, then I can go on this journey.
Right.
And when we just put our finger in the air and go, yeah, I'm just going to have take my dart and just hit it on the dartboard and have a go. This is when you're it's pot luck, isn't it?
I think the difficult thing is, and there's a famous hedge fund guy called Charles Allen, and he had a hedge fund in New York called Allen and Co. And I was very close with his daughter, and what was interesting was he had a saying: "You never get in trouble for taking a profit." Right, and her motto was, if she invests in stuff and she makes money, she'll get to the point where she's made a certain amount and she just cash out of it. And she doesn't care if it goes up 50%, 1,000,000%. She's gone, I put that in, I've had that out, I'm happy now, I'm out. And she was very successful in what she did. And I think that's the problem. I think sometimes, you come at things too early or you come at things too late. And the thing is, look, there is no, even people that know don't really know.
They don't know.
Right? They can only base on the last one, that's what happened, right?
Exactly.
So nobody really knows what's going to happen. Yes. Nobody knows, people keep saying, the inflation, how it's going to go. And everyone's jumping up and down in January going, the inflation's dropped, it's amazing, it's great, it's fantastic. And I remember looking at it thinking, it's dropped like 0.3%. It's still
nothing.
5 times.
I'm still going to the shop and it's still expensive.
Right. So I just thought, why are they printing this in the paper? Because it's just bollocks, right? And then I looked at it and I just thought, well, maybe there's, maybe the inflation is going to come down. But then obviously it hasn't. And now they're talking about putting the rates up again. So, and I think, people that I know in property, a lot of the buy-to-let guys are coming out. A lot of the HMO people are saying, people ain't paying the rents because they've lost their job, and also in buy-lets as well. And obviously, with the way, things work now, if you want to get somebody out of the house, it could take you 10 or 11 months. And obviously, if you have 5 or 6 people that do that to you, that's 5 or 6 mortgages you've got to cover. And you can't go to the bank and say, I can't pay for 11 months because they're not paying me. The bank's not interested. So
Terry, look, we're talking about a little bit about risk now. Now, when I think of making a movie or producing a movie or being part of a movie, we don't know if it's going to work or not. You see so many blockbuster hits and some don't do well. Even the biggest stars don't do well.
Listen, you can spend. I mean, some of the biggest disasters in Hollywood, they've spent 200 or 300 million on a film, and they've got A-list actors.
Yes.
And then for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out.
Yes.
And I think that, when you look at films, right, what you have to understand is, right, it is high risk, right, and the reason it's high risk is because I can sit here today and go, I've got a really good idea for a film, right? And I'll tell 10 people that I trust and that I work with, and they all go, that's a great idea. So then I'll go to a writer and say, write me this script.
Yeah.
He will then go and write it. And then I'll have a script and I'll be like, good script. And I'll do that same thing. What do you think? Everyone goes, oh, yeah, it's great, fantastic. Right, let's put it together. So the thing then is you either raise the money privately or you try and sell it. Now, the problem in independent filmmaking is the only way you're going to get a big company to buy anything off you is if you have Guy Ritchie directing, or Jason Statham in the lead, or Brad Pitt. Do you know what I mean? Or Quentin Tarantino. And those people are making their own stuff, but they're also, they're not going to come along and do your small film.
No.
Because why would they risk their career, right? So, you can have a massive result. You could do a film like Blair Witch Project. That was made for 30 grand. It grows to 150 million, right?
Wow.
So there's always a chance that could happen, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when they made that film, they did not know that was going to happen. They just made the film, when it's a good idea, they went off and did it, and they, wow, you know what I mean. So when we make our stuff, because and the time period, right? So it could take me 6 months to develop a script. It could take me another 6 months to raise the money to make the film, and then obviously then you've got to make the film, which is another 9 months, right? So you think from when I've had the idea to when I've got the script to when I've raised the money to when I've made the film, now I've got to then sell the film or release the film, or get somebody, a sales company, to sell the film. So I haven't got a crystal ball to tell me this idea I had 2 years ago, when I actually make it, that when it comes out in 2 years' time, it's going to be a success.
So how do you manage that risk? Like, there's people's money's at stake here. It costs a lot making a film. It does. There's a big budget. So how do you manage that?
But that's the. I tell you what it's like. It's like having a startup, right? If you have 25 startups, one works, right? And that's actually a fact, right? So people invest in startups, and we had the UK government for filmmakers had an EIS and SEIS scheme, right, which enabled people that wanted to invest in film to get tax breaks. So they got money back on their tax bills. They could defer capital gains tax, and then they could offset 45% of any losses. So for them, like, people come into it, they go, if I put 10 grand in, what is the worst case scenario? And they might lose 20% of the money if it didn't work out. So most people, if you say, we're going to make a film, supporting the arts, we're going to, the way this is structured, any money that comes in, you're in the first position. You're not, some of these film structures, some people will go and sell all the best territories and use that money to make the film and then raise money to then make the film. But then those investors, obviously, they're right at the back of the queue, and you've sold really all the good stuff. So the way to do it is, obviously you want to obviously get a story that either hasn't been done or that will resonate with certain people. Obviously, you aim for the best actors you can get, the best composer. You try and get the best.
Does that cost a lot of money?
It does, yeah. But it's all about we could make a film for $1 million. But then somebody else that would make it would spend 2 million on it, right? So for us, it's like when you're doing these things, you've got to aim for the stars. You've got to get the best of everything you can, and you're in a competitive marketplace. I mean, the only people who take the most risk are the people that invest, if they don't use the tax breaks, right? The tax breaks are still around, but they're a lot more challenging now to get, because what they've done is they've changed the rules on the EIS and SEIS, and now you have to physically put it all in a company, and you have to be seen to make more than one project in the company. You need to be employing people. But the hard thing about making a film, as I said earlier, you come up with an idea, you make the film. I mean, we did a film for Sinatra's 100th birthday. Right. And we just literally, someone come to us and said, it's Sinatra. And I'm a Sinatra fan, right? Yeah. So they said, we'd do a documentary about Sinatra. We got this guy in America who was his sort of right-hand man and blah, blah. And we've got people like Sir Tim Rice, Frank Warren, like some really interesting people, Alice Cooper, that want to talk about their relationship with Frank. So I thought, actually, this is quite an interesting project. So we did that, and Netflix came out of the woodwork and said, we'll buy that for the world, right? So you can get lucky where you come up with an idea where you're making a film, and then you get out of the woodwork, someone comes and buys it. Or because what we do along the way, obviously you make press announcement, we're doing this film, we've got this, we've got that. And then obviously we get like a little promo, and then we start showing people the promo. So we're always trying to get deals and get things done. But the risk is, when you're doing it, is you're making something that you've developed a year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we said earlier,
things change.
The world's constantly changing.
And dramatically.
Some things are acceptable today, might not be acceptable next week,
yes,
let alone next year. So, we made a film, which was a drama, like really good film, right? And when we made it, it was like, this is great. We've got all these amazing actors. We've got this amazing Oscar-winning composer. This is like the best. On paper, it's the best thing ever, right? And then when we went out with the film, everyone's going, it's a drama. And we're like, yeah. well, there's 50 dramas on the telly, on Sky, on Amazon, on Netflix. So why would anyone go to cinema and pay for this? Do you know what I mean? We still got it in cinemas, and it still got released, but it didn't do what we thought it was going to do because so our business. That's why it's high risk. So I think anybody I speak to about investing in film, I always say to them, only invest what you're prepared to lose, right? And some people do mad stuff. Like some guy had this thing in his head that he wanted to make a film, and he was going to fund it himself. So he remortgaged his house and put all of the money from his house into making his film project, and he didn't have enough. So then he maxed all his credit cards out, and the film never came out.
Wow.
Right, but he was that convinced that this was going to be the Blair Witch Project that he put everything into it. And I mean, I've met some amazing people in my career, and how I got into producing was I obviously come into. I'd sold Garage Nation and One Nation in 2003.
What was the reason you sold it?
To be honest, it was becoming hard to get venues because a lot of venues were getting turned into flats.
Yes.
And a lot of venues were also, there was an explosion in gun crime, knife crime. And what happened was garage sort of went into drill and grime. And what I mean, obviously, it was only the early stages. But what happened was, obviously, in the garage scene, when the So Solid crew and the Heartless crew come on the scene, then you had the Pay As You Go crew. So then you had all these crews running around, and they all hated each other. So, and then I think, you get people from North London wanting to kill people from South London, then people from East London. So if you did an event and these people, and they all want to come,
they're clashing.
You can have massive problems on the night. So,
was you ever faced a gun or anything at that point?
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah.
Really?
And it was. I mean, it went from being a real fun thing, because I went from doing the flyers to selling the tickets to then doing a magazine, and then somebody said, "Well, you're doing the flyers, you're doing the tickets. Why don't you do an event?"
Yeah.
So that's when I then said, I'll try and do an event. I was very lucky. The first one broke even. The second one made a little bit of money, but then a guy had a club in Aldershot with a 6 o'clock license, and he said, "Oh, will you run this for me on a Friday and Saturday doing these rave things?" So I had no risk. So that also gave me a chance to build up some money. And then I started doing events again alongside the club thing. So I'd say it probably took me 2 or 3 years from when I did my first event. So by 96, I was absolutely flying with One Nation. And then in 97, we launched Garage Nation. So I had probably 10 years of promoting. And I probably worked in the club scene probably for, I'm just trying to think, probably 13 years in total.
A long time. What kept you motivated in that time to keep doing it? Like, you're getting all this money coming in and so many promotions. Like, what kept you going? Because
do you know what? I enjoyed it. I think there's nothing. We did like mad stuff. So we got like a Queen lookalike come to one of our raves. And we had Ali G come to one of the raves, just as the Ali G show was blowing up. We had, we did a big event at Wembley. We blew up a police car on the stage. We had this graffiti. So the idea of it when we did Wembley was we wanted to make it into like a New York sort of street. So we had all this like corrugated iron on the stage with all graffiti. So we had this graffiti artist come and done the stuff. And then we had a police car on the top with the light flashing. And then we had these break dancers that were the best break dancers in the world, allegedly. And they were doing all these spin on their heads and doing all this stuff, throwing people up in the air. Yeah. And obviously, if you're on a rave, you're like, wow. And then at midnight, the police car blew up on the stage. But that was like, back then, that was social media, because you'd have all them people, 20,000 people going, it's fucking mad. Like, I went to this rave and there's all this graffiti, there's people spinning around, the fucking police car blew up, and people were like, what? Why'd they do that? I don't know, but it was fucking mad. Right? So, but that's what I'm saying. So we used to do mad shit so people talked about our event. We had a zero tolerance policy on drugs, we had a zero tolerance policy on trouble. So anybody fucked around, they got thrown out, and we just wouldn't entertain it. So we come down heavy on anybody who did anything, because the way I looked at it, these people are paying money to come and have a good night. And our thing was all about, it was one love, one vibe, one nation. It was about everyone's having a good time. no trouble, you know.
How do you know what people want? Because there's thousands of people there, and you've created all of this scene.
Well, do you know what? I think I mean, we were quite lucky, right? Because again, you know, I looked at what other people were doing, and I think I just did it better. And that was not because I was a genius, but just because I sort of thought, well, they're doing that, you know, I can actually do it better. So, and I think, you know, I mean, if you go back to doing, you know, the early events, we used to, on the tickets, there was like a tear-off thing. Join a mailing list, right?
Yes.
Name, address, phone number, favourite DJ, favourite MC. So, you know, if you get 3,000 people or 2,000 people coming to an event, you know, not all of them fill in the stubs, but people want to be on a mailing list because you post them a flyer and they can get a couple of quid off their tickets if they buy them directly for you. So we got to the point where we were selling 200 or 300 tickets through the post, which is good because obviously that meant that money was in their bank. So then when we had to book the club, we actually had the money to go to the club. There's a deposit for the club.
You need your supporters.
Yeah,
foundation.
And also those 100, 200 people would tell all their mates, got my ticket, I'm a member at one. Oh, how'd you become a member? You just fill in the thing on the bottom, you know. So, but then we also had, you know, out of 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000, however many of them stubs we had, you'd look at it and you go, right, okay, well, everybody likes DJ Hype. Everybody likes MC Skibbity. Everybody likes DJ Rat. Do you know what I mean? So you could work out
That's your market research.
What they wanted. Yeah. So that gave you a steer. But I think also, look, I'd be in clubs, I'd hear a DJ play, or I'd hear a song that a DJ had made, and, you know, I'd be like, wow, that's going to blow up. So we need to get that guy when that track comes out. We did it a few times. So Solid Crew, they used to MC for us, right, just as MCs. And then Mega Man said, I'm setting up this So Solid Crew thing. I said, oh, right, okay. And I said, well, we're doing Nine Appa. Do you want to be the residents? And he went, yeah, sweet. So I said, how's it going to work? And he said, well, we've got a couple of these, a couple of MCs, but there's 28 of us or 30 of us or whatever. So he said, you know, just get the flights and the accommodation and pay us whatever. And every week you'll have a couple of people from the So Solid Crew DJ and a couple of people for the singers, the MCs. They went number one and we went on Appa. So you can imagine we absolutely, you know, it was just like people queuing around the block. Wow, the So Solid Crew. And people were like, you're a genius. How do you know? And I said, I didn't know they was going to be number one. But this is what I'm saying. Like, whether I was making a film, which is entertainment, or whether I'm putting on an event, I didn't know that the So Solid Crew, right, was going to, you know, blow up. I didn't know EZ was going to be as big as he is. You know, when we made Rise of the Foot Soldier, we didn't know that was going to turn into a true crime franchise and have 6 movies. So with all this stuff, people can look and go, that guy's fucking so smart, and, you know, blah blah blah.
Or you got lucky.
We got lucky, but the thing is,
They didn't see you.
the thing is, what they don't see is, you know, I tell you a great story about theatre, which is worse than film, right? So, my friend, this woman who was Charles Allen's daughter, right? She was one of the most prolific producers on Broadway, and she did The Elephant Man with Bradley Cooper, right? And that blew me away because he had no prosthetics, no makeup, and it was massive on Broadway and it was massive here. Come to the UK for, I think it was for a month, and we went to the opening night. Bradley Cooper was there, and I remember, like, literally, she introduced me to this guy who was one of the guys who put money in with her, and he said, "Oh, you know, I've never done anything in the film business, blah blah blah." And I said, "You know, something?" I said, "This show is blowing me away." I said, "This is probably one of the best bits of theatre I've ever seen in my life." And he went, "Man, you should have a bit of dinner because I'm in London, you know, for a couple of weeks." So we went out and had dinner, me and this guy. And we're chatting away, and I said, "Fucking hell!" I said, "How did you, like? Yeah, what made you want to invest in that?" And he said, "Do you know what?" He said, "I just like the idea of it." But he said, because I was basically praising him, saying, "You're a genius," blah blah.
Yeah.
Probably like when people speak to me, "Oh, you know, you've done some amazing stuff."
You have done amazing stuff, though.
But the thing is, for me, I'm a humble person, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've also failed, right, a lot, right, where things haven't worked out or things that we thought were going to be massively successful haven't been. Just like any business, right? You know, if everybody got everything right all the time, then we'd all be billionaires,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, every time you make a loss or something doesn't work, then you learn and you can go again. And it's like, this guy, when I was talking to him, I said to him, I said, you know, and he said what I just said, he said, right? And he said to me, he said, I've got a wall in my house with all the turkeys on. And I said, what do you mean? He said, all the ones that have bombed and I've lost my money, right? And he said, and I've got a little wall with all my winners on.
Okay.
And I said, but why'd you do it? And he said, why does someone go in a casino and put 10 grand on number 25 on a roulette? Why do people invest in startups that are going to, you know, change the world? He said, we do it because we've got the money to invest. We're excited about it. We believe in it. And, you know, every theatre production I've invested in, the producers have believed in it. Nobody's going to make a film or a TV show or develop something knowing it's going to not work. Why don't we do that? It's a waste of time because it means you ain't going to get any more money out of it. And, you know, obviously if the investor lose money, they're not going to be happy. So there is no value in anybody ever doing anything if they know up front it's not going to work. But I think the excitement about the film business when it does work, it really does work, right? And I think it's the same with theatre. It's the same if you have a startup. You know, I'm sure when Steve Jobs did his Apple computer in his garage, you know, people were like, who's going to buy that? Yeah. And now there's a multi-billion-pound, I think it was £1 trillion valuation at one point. And that's, I mean, stories like that just blow you away. You just think, wow, you know, this guy's invented a computer in his garage and look where he's gone. I mean, unfortunately, he's not around now to see it. Yeah. But he was literally, I mean, he must have looked at what he created with Apple and just gone, oh my God, you know, what have I done this? Even though he's obviously super smart and he was obviously had a bit of luck. I mean, anybody who makes anything, you know, there's hard work, there's luck.
It's got to be a little bit of luck to it.
And it's also coming up with something, you know, we're always looking for something different that we can do. Because that's the other thing. So when you talk to people now, you say, what's hot? True crime always seems to be really well received in film and television, books. But it's kind of weird. Like, you know, if you ask people what they want, they sort of say, we want something diverse. We want something that we haven't seen before. We want to be surprised. And it's like, it doesn't really, it's not like you can just come up with an answer. Yeah. So it's very it's like doing a Rubik's Cube, trying to work it out. But going back to your question about when I sold it, the reason I sold it was because as I was getting towards the end of my career in promoting events, it definitely got more dangerous. There was definitely a lot of shootings. There was shootouts. There was people pulling guns out. But it wasn't fun anymore, right? And what happened because of all this stuff with the crews, because you had these, you always had people that were up to no good, right? But you didn't actually have organised gangs. And you used to, like now, you've got this postcode stuff, right? It's the same back then, but there's some guys out of Peckham, and some guys out of Brixton, some guys out of Tottenham, and some guys out of Hackney. And over these group of like 10, 20 guys. And you know, they want to come and do something to the guys from Peckham. You know, where are they? So you had all that going on, and you go to a venue and say, I want to put an event on. They'd be like, what music is it? And you go, oh, it's this. And they go, no jungle, no grime. What's the lineup? And you'd be like, well, no, you can't have that guy. You can't book them. Why? Well, because they bring trouble. So we got into this weird thing where I'm actually sitting there thinking, I'm a promoter and I need to be able to book who I know is going to be popular. Yeah. So if I'm now being told, a little bit like what I said earlier about, you know, you got to use this person, you got to use that, but you got to be diverse. It's like you're being told how to operate. And obviously, if you're being told how to operate and everybody's being told the same thing, what you do is you get mediocrity. Nobody's doing anything different. It's all the same. And, you know, we couldn't put certain words on the flyer. You know, So Solid Crew had their tour cancelled because they said that there was going to be problems, right, up and down the country. So I said to my partner at the time, Jason Kay, who's unfortunately no longer with us now, I said to him, I said, look, I just can't see longevity in this. I said, you know, we can't get the clubs, and when we can get the clubs, we've got this long list of what we can and what we can't do. I said, I'm sort of had enough of this now. And I said, it's become dangerous. It's not become fun. Let's just sell it. We was at the top, right? So we sold it.
Did you make some good money on it?
Yeah. I mean, the you know, people always think, you know, when you sell something, you make millions, you know, but We didn't make millions out of it, but listen, whatever we sold it for, you know, I'm glad we sold it when we sold
Yeah.
it. Because if we'd have
That's the right point.
if we'd have done, you know, what you were saying earlier about, you know, sometimes you just have to hold on to things and ride it out. If we'd have made that mistake where we held on to it and rode it out, we got nothing for it. And you know, the guys that bought both brands, I think One Nation now they've given up on because the drum bass scene is so small now. I mean, it did sort of have a comeback. You know, we did a documentary. That was one thing I directed called United Nation, 3 Decades of Drum and Bass. And it was kind of weird because people like Andy C started filling out Wembley on his own. And then you had and it seems like drum and bass has gone all around the world. But I think because there's not any regular clubs here, the scene's become a lot smaller, especially now. Like, you know, I'd say probably up to 2020, just before COVID, it was, you know, really healthy, really flying. It was all, you know, and then obviously COVID come, and that obviously killed the whole club scene, dead for 2 years. And obviously it's come back now, but even now it's become challenging because people are sort of, you know, some people don't want to go out and be in crowds, but the ones that do, you know, you know, there's so many festivals now.
Yeah.
So you're going, well, there's a festival with Stormzy, you know, Calvin Harris, all my favourite DJs, performers, or I can go to a Gavin Nation event. And obviously these things ain't cheap. So if you're going to go to that, you might not be able to go to that. So I think there seems to be an abundance of festivals. And obviously drum and bass is in all these festivals, just like UK garages. So I think the scenes are still buoyant and people still like it, but it's become more like an old school thing. So if you listen to drum and bass now, it always seems to be like Shy FX, Original Nutter. If you listen to UK garage, it's always like the bangers from back in the day, you know. So it seems to have become like a retro movement now. But both the promoters said from 2003 to probably 2010, they didn't make any money. So they had 7 years of putting events on, breaking even, putting events on, losing money. So for me, I knew that I'd done the right thing. That was the only time in my life when I actually said, do you know something? That was the right call.
Yeah.
I made the worst call, right? Again, this is what I'm saying. What people don't understand, right? People always look at things and they always go, oh, you know, he's lucky or he's doing this. You know, I won all the awards, right? I was the best club promoter in the world, really. You know, nobody was doing what I was doing. But the mad thing was, I remember in 1999, I think it was March time, I got offered every club in London. Every single club, venue in London come to me and said, it's a millennium, everyone's going to go out, you know, we want you got the biggest brand to do our event. So I remember saying to my partner, Jason, I said, look, I don't even know what you price this at, right? But I said, I think we should just do something on New Year's Day for like 15 quid and just do a New Year's Day, you know, welcome to the Millennium Party, yeah? And he's going, yeah, but, you know, people are going to want to go out. It's a once in a lifetime. It's only going to happen once in everyone's lifetime. So I was thinking about it and I said, well, let's do the numbers, right? So we ring the DJs, you know, we're thinking of doing something at the Millennium. What do you want? We want 10 times their money. We want this, we want that. It was like, where did you get these figures from? Do you know what I mean? But then I looked around and I spoke to some other promoters and they had some other venues, right? But not the good ones, right? I think Millennium Dome, my mate was doing a rave in that, but I think it was called something else then. I remember looking at it and thinking, we've actually got an opportunity here where we can make life-changing money if it works, right? So to pay the DJs and the events, security, you know, nobody was doing us a favour. Everyone, then the Millennium Bug's going to turn the electricity off. So so we had to get a generator because if you've got 3,000 people in a warehouse and the electricity goes off, you're going to have a riot. So we had to hire all these generators, but obviously everyone wants a generator because of the Millennium Bug, which is all bullshit, right? But obviously it could have been a real thing. So we had to take that precaution. So we did all of that stuff, and we locked down these 3 amazing venues in London. Long story short, we lost money, and I remember like literally looking at New Year's Day, and all the parties New Year's Day were packed. Where everyone just went, I ain't fucking paying that. I'm gonna go New Year's Day instead. So I called it right in the beginning, but because you get carried away with the bullshit, oh, look, this could happen, that could happen, this, you end up start chasing a dream. And bear in mind that every event I did, I mean, I might break even, I might lose a little bit, but I was pretty consistent on the events that, we did them and we made money. Do you know what I mean? So that was a massive kick in the nuts. And I remember literally having rows with people where people were going, well, I want my money. And it's like, mate, there's 300 people in here.
Yeah.
Right? I said, if you were worth that money, there'd be 3,000 people in here and I would have paid your money. But I said, I'm not making money, I'm losing money.
Yeah.
So I said, you got to help me out. I said, I'll book you 30 times a year. So I said, the big picture is you need to, help me out now. I'd never asked you ever to help me out of anything, but I'm just, and some of them did, some of them didn't. The ones that didn't, we never worked again.
Yeah.
Because
you see who's real. That's
well, look, if I've been giving you money 30 times a year for 7 or 8 years, and I've always paid you and never had a problem, and then I say to you, look, we've lost money, can you help me out? And you've already asked me for like 10 times your money.
Yeah.
So you're already taking a piss.
Yeah.
Right? So you should, take a deep breath and go, do you know what? I can see it's not worked out.
Yeah.
We're mates, we've been working together 7 years.
Yeah.
Just give me what I normally get. I'll help you out. But no, I want this, I want that. So a lot of, it was only like probably 3 or 4 people, I'd say, out of all the people we were working with. But, I then come out of that and out of the blue, I got a phone call, someone saying, oh, I'm making a film.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in it? And I was like, yeah, why not? So at the time, my wife was 8 months pregnant.
Right.
And I did this film and I come back and I actually said to her, I've got some good news. She said, what's that? I said, I'm going to be an actor now. And she was like, go and look in the mirror, you're not Brad Pitt, you're like 30 years of age, this is the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. So I was a bit like, well, thanks for your support, but I'm going to do it anyway. Did it for a year, did it, EastEnders, The Bill. My Family, some great stuff on the BBC. Yeah. And then after a year, I sort of looked back on what I'd earned. And I think I'd earned something like $8,000. And I was thinking, fuck, I've gone from earning really good money to now earning $8,000. And I've got a wife, I've got a kid coming, I've got mortgage. And I'm thinking, this isn't great. This isn't going to be sustainable. And then I started asking actors, what do you do to make money, Because the problem with acting is you get a phone call like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, can you do the audition tomorrow?
Yeah.
You don't get any notice. No. And then it's like, oh yeah, you got the job, can you start next week? So you have to just drop everything. So a lot of them were like, yeah, I drive a car, got an Uber, I work in the kitchen, I work in a bar, do cleaning jobs, just whatever to make live. I'm like, how do you afford to live in London? Oh, there's 5 of us all sleeping in a 1-bed flat. And I was just like, this is fucking stupid. Yeah. Right? And I remember saying to an actor, I was actually moaning, saying, I can't believe and he's like, I haven't worked for 3 years. And then I was like, fucking hell. I'm like moaning about how I've done by him, and this guy's not worked for 3 years. And I was just like, why'd you still do it? And he was like, well, just hoping one day I'll get my break. Yeah. And there's 2 great stories. One of them, when I did EastEnders, I met June Brown. Yeah. Who's no longer with us. No. But she was like unbelievable. She literally was chain smoking. Yeah. And she was right up for a laugh.
Is that .com?
.com. She's just exactly like she's in the show. It's like, oh, hello, darling, how are you? Blah, blah. Oh, what part are you playing? Oh, shame we ain't got a scene together, but we had a real laugh. And then you watch her go on, she's like, she must have been in her 80s. Just jumping on the set and she's got all this dialogue, jumping about, and I'm just like, this woman's unbelievable. And then we was having lunch, and I said to her, June, really interested in your career. And I said, when did you get your big break? And she said, I think she said she was 68.
Oh, wow.
I said, 68? And she went, yeah, on this. So I said, so what did you do for the other like 30 years or 40 years when you was acting? And she said, well, I came out of school, decided I want to be an actor. Then back then they used to do a rep. So they join a theatre and they go up and down the country doing rep. She'd do a little bit of advert, a little episode of this, a little episode of that. But, so that just shows you, it took her all that time to have her first big break. Wow. Right? And then if you actually do some research on it, 95% of all actors are unemployed. So you look at that stats, and I did actually say, if I'd have known that when I joined it, I would never have done it. I would have just gone,
Not for me.
I'm not doing it. I'll do it as a laugh, but I won't put my heart and soul into it because I went and done drama school. You know, I went and got an agent. I got pictures done. I got a show reel made. You know, I took it like really seriously, and because of the promoting and the sales stuff that I've done, I was always just like, right, I can get into, you know, I can make this work. Because I think if you're used to promoting and selling stuff, you know, you think, well, you know. So when I was in EastEnders, I got some postcards with my picture on. I sent it to all the casting people saying, you know, hi, Terry, I'm in EastEnders Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever it is. If you get a chance, please have a look. You know, don't know if any other actors have done that, but that was something I did. So I was always trying to push myself out there.
How did that come to an end, and you started thinking of your own filmmaking or producing or acting?
Yeah. So what happened was, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like I went to this meeting with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, how's the acting going?" Right, and I said, "You know," I said, "I've done some stuff, but I said it's not sustainable." And I said, "I need to really think of, you know, some other stuff to, you know, maybe I'll go back to the people I sold the events to, maybe buy them back." I know, you know, so I was a little bit sort of lost. And the guy said to me, he said, "What is it you want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to be in movies, really." And he said, "Why don't you make one?" He said, "You know, you put together these events, it can't be that difficult."
Yeah.
So what I did was I found, I said to him, I said, "Look," I said, if I get a script and a director and some actors, will you put some money? And he went, "I'll put 10 grand in." I said, "Well, I'll put 10 grand in." So I left that meeting thinking, well, I got 20 grand for a movie. So what I did was I rang all my mates up and said, "This sounds fucking nuts," and it is,
Yeah.
but I want to make a movie, and I'm putting 10 in, he's putting 10 in. Do you want to put 10 in? So everyone just went, "Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it, we'll support you." Yeah, because that's what mates do, right? So we raised 250 grand.
Wow.
No, sorry, not 250 grand, 140 grand we raised.
So 14 of yous.
And we made this movie called One Man and His Dog, and it was a dog, right? But it was like going to film school, and believe it or not, we still managed to get 25% of our money back. So obviously we lost 75% on that first film, but what that did was that opened up like how not to make a film, and the people that I worked with, because I didn't know anything about making films, so I sort of entrusted it to a producer and, you know, director, and I saw how it worked. And with me, I thought, right, you know, when I do this again, I'm not going to make these mistakes. And we ended up, like literally, a mate of mine rang me up and he said, "I've just watched your film." He said, "No, I thought it was actually quite good." He said, "How much did you make it for?" And I said, "Well, it was only like 140 grand. It's like super low budget." But I said, "You know," and he said, "Well, I've got an idea for a film." I said, "Okay, what's your film?" And he goes, it's like Boys in the Hood, but the British version. So I was like, "Okay." He said, and I said, "Well, I've actually got a writer that I think would be good for that." And he said, "Look," he said, "I've got Kano, I've got Estelle, I've got all these like Dizzy Rascal." He said, "They'll all be in it." Right. So we ended up developing a script for a film called Rolling with the Nines, which got BAFTA nominated, won Rain Dance.
Brilliant.
And that was like $250,000. So we gone from doing a little 140 grand film to a 250 grand film. And then somebody approached me with the book Fires of the Foot Soldier, but it wasn't called that. And they said, "Oh, have a look at this book. This guy's written it, and he's a doorman, and you know, he used to look after Nigel Benn, and he knows the Essex boys, and he was involved in, you know, the West Ham football again." So I thought, you know, I'll read, and obviously I've grown up watching Goodfellas and Casino and films like that, so I've always had an interest in true crime. So I read the book and I was like, this book's really good. It was like Goodfella meets Football Factory, right? So I said, I love this concept. So I said, why don't we get it developed? So we got the same writer that wrote Rolling with the Nines, and obviously he had a bit of heat on him because of the BAFTA nomination and blah blah blah. And he ended up writing Rise of the Foot Soldier. But it took us 2 years of going around knocking on people's doors saying, we're looking for money, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. And then we managed to raise $250,000 for it. But then we got a company that come in and said, we'll give you the full budget.
Okay.
But we need to own the rights. So we was like, just want to make the film, mate. You know what I mean? Just do it. And then after that, we did a film called Doghouse with Sony. So, you know, we had two, we sort of really, if you looked at it then, you had 4 films and, you know, 3 of them were, you know, it sort of just was like that. And then someone said to me, you know, you should set up your own company. So we set up a company and then we you know, we joined forces with a company called Revolver, who were an award-winning distribution company. Made some films with them. They released some films that we made without them. Had a bit of a nightmare with them because they ended up going bust, which was a, you know, massive nightmare because obviously because they were actually making the content. But again, that shows you, you know, you can have the best company in the world. You know, the Weinstein Company was another one that, you know, when that Me Too stuff come out about Harvey Weinstein,
Yes.
he sold his company to Miramax for $1 billion, right? He was probably the hottest producer distributor in the world. And, you know, if anybody had said, oh, you know, that's a company to invest in or to deal with, that would be like the gold-plated version. Do you know what I mean? So, and I suppose that really is another risk. You know, when you look at businesses, I think one of the big risks in all businesses is if I'm making something and you're buying it and you're giving me the money, there isn't really any risk because I'm not going to send it to you unless you send me the money. But when you make a film, you've got hundreds. If you do a worldwide, and what happens is, if you can do a deal with one person, then it's easy because then, you know, you're just doing one person. But what you find is you deal with loads of companies all around the world, so you're all relying on them to account you, to pay you, and not go out of business. So obviously, you know, and obviously with you know, you imagine like you had imagine if you had a bit business dealings with Russia.
Wow.
And then the war fucking starts. I mean, nobody can
see that.
Nobody goes, oh,
normally.
the war's, you know, I can't. Can you? You must have known that the war was going to happen. Why did you tell that to those people in Russia? Do you know what I mean? Sort of like, so you know, when you look at the world, you know, things like wars and things like people going out of business, that's all stuff that's obviously out of your control. But you know, I think as we went through early 2010, we did obviously some films with them. Most of them were like urban, so Shank went out, and that was yeah, great film. Another Hood was a massive success. That got Adam Deacon a BAFTA.
Okay.
And you know, that I think it did it was 2 million at the box office, and to get to put it into perspective, with British film, to get a low budget British film in the box office. And back then, now it's a little bit easier because there's not that much content being made. But back then, like literally every week you had 10 blockbusters being released. So to actually be able to get on that top 10 was you know, that was a massive result because it also puts you on everyone's radar because they're like, wow. And again, when we was talking about So Solid Crew, like we used Tiny Temper for the opening track of Another Hood, Pass Out. Obviously, that went to #1 when the film came out. So, you know, sometimes when you do these things, you have a bit of luck from the film gods, you know, where something like that happens. And obviously everyone then goes, oh, and they watch the film and oh, and then obviously Tiny blew up and then he's talking about, oh, you know, the film and this, that, and the other.
You say that, Terry, but look, at the end of the day, you could have easily been just sitting in your bed at home and not doing anything. You're going out and buying these lottery tickets. You'll keep doing
but the thing,
keep going.
But this is the thing. So, our business, right? You know, the making films, it's all about creating content, right? And if we had a crystal ball, we'd be able to say that one's going to be a winner, that one's not going to be a winner. Actually, we're not going to make that because the crystal ball says it's not going to be a winner. So I think in life and in business, you know, I'm sure Steve Jobs, when he was sat in his thing, fiddling around with his computer, saying this is going to be my computer, he obviously believed in it, right? But he didn't know that what was going to happen with it. And I think he did have some ups and downs. I think Apple at one point may have even nearly gone bust. But when you look at it, I mean, all the stuff we've done, you know, we've worked with one of the biggest production companies in Hollywood. There's a company called Atlas. The guy who owns Atlas, Chuck Roven, he produced all the Batman films. He set up a company called Atlas Independent. We developed some content with them. We made a film with them. We've done a film called Once Upon a Time in London.
How do you promote films now in this digital era?
Okay, so this is where it becomes interesting, right? And this sort of leads into one of the things I'm involved in now. So with films in the old days, what would happen is you'd have to spend 1 to 2 million minimum to really get the film out there, right? But obviously we wouldn't spend it. So we'd make the film and then we'd need a distributor to actually go, right, we're going to do a premiere. We're going to, put it out on 300 cinemas and spend a load of money on it. So that was the game back then. And obviously DVDs were a thing. Now it's all digital. So after COVID, like COVID shut the world down for 2 years. So that obviously, disrupted the film business. And what it's kind of done, it's made the streaming platforms more powerful. And it's obviously caused the cinemas a lot of problems, right? Because obviously you've got all these massive multiplexes with no content playing. And obviously the overheads for them are massive. So I think Cineworld, they went bust for like 7 billion. They're still trying to find buyers now, but that's just, burning money. So I think long term, I don't think the cinema model works.
No.
And I think everything's going to be digital. And, what we've seen, like when we released the latest Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins film, which I played the lead in with Vinnie Jones and Keith Allen, Craig Fairbrass, like a great cast. But when we released that, the actual money spent on the advertising and marketing was a fraction, right? It was under 10% of what we'd spend or what they spent on the original, which was, okay, it was 2007 when it came out. But, you look
Shows
back,
you how quickly times have changed.
yeah, and it's all about digital now. And the thing is, I got approached by a company in Canada that do digital and tech stuff, and they said, your business is going digital. Have you thought about using NFTs to fund films? And I said, what's an NFT? And they laughed and said, oh, it's a non-fungible token. I said, I don't even know what that is, right? But long story short, we looked into it and we set up a company called Dark Horse Films, which the idea behind it is going to be a digital studio, which creates, well, it doesn't create, we've already created the content. So we've obviously got piles of content we've created. Some of it we've made, some of it we've just got sat there ready to be made. Because that's the other thing in their job. You have to create content, right? You've got to have a pipeline of stuff, because if one of them goes and it's a big success, then people are like, what else you got? And you don't want to be the producer going, well, we haven't really got anything. You want to be able to say, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. So our model is we went into this sort of digital studio idea. And then, as luck would have it, there was a company, and as we're talking to people, now bear in mind, the war's going on, right?
Yeah.
So people are going, it's not a good time to go and raise money, because the initial thing was you should put this on the stock market. But now it's like, actually, just wait, blah, blah, blah. So there's a company in Canada that developed a cybersecurity software for the blockchain. And they I think when they listed the stock, it was like 60 cents Canadian, and they're trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange. And the people that created this cybersecurity software, they basically didn't monetize it. So obviously, if creating something like that and you've got all these developers working on it, obviously you just see the money in the bank go like that. So one of my partners who's in Australia does a lot of stuff in Canada with tech companies, and he actually rang me and said, we could get them, that they actually want to acquire a company that can help them monetize the cybersecurity, and also digital content. And obviously that's what we were doing. So we wanted to be on a stock market. So they went, look, we'll acquire your company, roll it into our company. So we ended up getting, so our company's now trading on the Canadian stock market. And what we've done is we've come up, we just signed a deal with crypto.com, and crypto.com, we've got 85 million customers worldwide. They got
the metal card as
well, they're going to end up probably getting to 100 million by Christmas, I'd say. And what they're interested in is releasing digital assets to their customer base, and they've not had any exposure to film. So we're going to start releasing these digital assets through them. We've also exploring another potential way of funding films through the blockchain, and we are very close to actually getting a model together for that, and that's going to be something that we're going to be pursuing later this year. But with this digital studio, right, we're going to obviously start making announcements about what we're doing, and because nobody in the world's doing it at the moment, obviously that's going to put a lot of eyeballs on the company. And we've got a movie called Tales from a Trap, which is a little bit like Blue Story, a little bit like Another Hood. It's that same sort of genre, Rolling in the Lines, and we've got a great director who's a massive UK rap star that's going to be directing it. And we've already got an artist who's going to digitalise all the characters in the film. So we're going to actually look to monetize the film before we release it. But then as we go along the pathway, right, we're obviously going to be monetizing it digitally, but then using the awareness to sort of build up a community for the film. And then when we actually release the film, we got two options. We can either say, let's do it traditionally, where we go to a distributor, they can put it in the cinema. We can do this, we can do that, or we can just release it ourselves. And the thing I like about the blockchain and film, and no one's done this yet, and this is why we're obviously looking at this, is because if I do a movie and you're a distributor, right, you're going to market and advertise it, and obviously it costs money, and you get your percentage, right? So, if that film is massively successful, great, we'll make money. But the issue for me is, like, when you look at films and they come out, and it happens to all films, unless they've got a cult following, or unless people are constantly watching them, they kind of fizzle out. And obviously, when they fizzle out, then you get to a point where you go, oh, it's fizzled out now. And in with a distributor, like if you're a distributor and you distribute content, you would go to Netflix, you go to Amazon, you go to Sky, you go to these different places. But then obviously, they're going to release the content on their platforms, either as they buy it off you and then they give it away, or they put it on their platforms and they sell. So, you go on Apple, iTunes, and you buy a movie, for £6 or whatever. Obviously, Apple take their bit off, the distributor takes their bit off, and then you get the balance, right? But obviously, if you do it on the blockchain, and I've got my film on the blockchain, and you want to buy it, and I sell it to you, I get paid instantly. I haven't got to pay anybody. There's a thing called gas fees.
Yes.
And obviously, if it was on crypto.com or on one of the other platforms, they're going to obviously take a share of it. They're not going to do it for free. But if we can cut out the middlemen and make the films and then just release them, in-house, then what it does, it means that as soon as anybody buys it, we get paid instantly, which is great. It's on the blockchain, so you can actually see every transaction. So you know exactly what you've sold. And obviously, as you're promoting something, you know if it's working. Because if no one's buying it, you go, oh, maybe we should not spend all that money on that. Let's try this. So it allows you to move like rapidly and change what you're doing. Because the problem is, if you go out to a company, like when they used to release films and they're spending millions on advertising and marketing, it is like a scattergun approach. Put it on the tube, put it in the paper, put it on the radio, put it on the TV. And there's no real way of saying somebody watched it on the TV, so they bought it. But they think by doing all this stuff, the awareness is everywhere. Whereas, obviously, because we've got phones now and everything's on the internet, online, right? It's easier to hit people.
You could get 5 top influencers with 1 million followers each, and they repost it, and there's 5 million
Well,
people
look,
reached.
we're going to be using massive people from the UK rap scene, artists, and obviously
Love
they're going
that.
to do music for the film. They're going to be in the film,
Come
and
on.
there's a good chance that they will probably do some videos,
Yeah.
right? And obviously we can give them some clips from the film to put in the videos, so that when they're pushing it out, so we can drive the awareness, and it doesn't cost anything, right? But obviously it creates the demand. People want to see that film. Where can I see it?
Yes.
Press the button.
There you go.
Oh,
Take your
right.
date.
And that's the thing. Pressing the button now, like people want to, like, so we did it with a film. We brought a film out with The Last Heist.
Yes.
And we went around to a couple of, went to all the distributing companies really, but a couple of them come back and said, oh, you know, we quite like this, you know, we'll release it, but, you know, this is the deal and blah, blah. And the deals they were offering us weren't very good. And I actually said, look, I said, why don't we actually distribute ourselves so we can check that we can digitally market something well and we can get, you know, to the #1 spot on Amazon. So we did it and we got to the #1 spot on Amazon, right? And I said to my business partner, I said, look, I said, what we've just done here is all these distributors are doing, right? And they're getting paid 30% of whatever that film takes for that privilege, right? So we've just cut them out, and that means that our investors can get 30% more, right? So I'm, but I'm thinking, like, again, now I know it works, and that I'm on the right path, which I knew I was on the right path anyway, because I can see everything's going digital. But that got me excited because I said to the guys, I said, look, I said, when we make this film, we got 12 months of prepping the film, shooting the film, editing the film, talking about the release of the film, and then getting, obviously, these music videos going out, and then getting, you know, and by then we'll have obviously sold a lot of these digital assets, so we'll already have a community. So
definitely,
when we actually do launch the film, it's not going to be a hard sell.
No,
and then
you've already built something.
And then what we've got then is we've got a business model, which we can use that for any of our films that we want to make, but also because obviously it's a business, we can say to anybody in the world, look, if you want to make your film, you can make it how you want to make it without any interference, and we can monetize it like this. We've just done it on this, and these were the results. And obviously, when you do, if you release a film with multiple distributors, they all have different accounting times and dates, and they normally do it quarterly, and then you get a statement, and you got to invoice them. So you're always waiting, you know, months for reports, for money, for this, for that. So with this, that cuts all the waiting out. So if we can do it, you know, if we release the film, say, on a Monday, right, or Friday, whatever day would be deemed as the best day, and you had 500,000 or 1 million or 10 million or whatever people going bang, pressing that button, then we go, okay, well, why do we need to talk to anybody else? We just do it ourselves. And that's the position I want to be in, because I think, you know, it's like with Netflix and with Amazon and with Spotify and with Apple Music, you know, their model is currently, you know, we've got a platform, we've got 230 million users, and they're all paying us £6-7 a month, and we want to give them content. So they come to you and say, we're going to buy that content from you for this price. And if you don't take that price, then they won't buy it. And then they don't care because they've got their own content they're making. So obviously, you know, and they never tell you how many people watch it. So if you give a film to Netflix and, you know, 10 million people watch it, you don't know.
They don't tell you.
But then if that, whatever money they pay you, if they actually said, well, 10 million people watch this and you get £1 a click, then you go, do you know what?
Do that myself.
What else can we do? Right? But if you're not getting that sort of, and you don't know how many people, and look, if you look at, I mean, I talk to lots of people in England, and the mindset is, you know, I'm paying £6 a month for my Netflix subscription, or £10 a month, or whatever it is, and, you know, when I get that money, because I'm paying that money, you know, I'll wait. So they see it. You can go and buy it on Sky Box Office, or you can buy it on Amazon or Apple. But they go, why would I pay £10 for it? I'll watch it free when it goes on Netflix. And that's actually the mindset of a lot of people. And that actually annoys me, because I think, you know, I'm not making content to give away. I'm making content because I want to actually make money.
Of course.
So,
Terry, look, you shared so much with us. I'm just conscious of time.
yep.
But before, we wrap this up over the next few minutes,
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. This is something totally new.
You got to press the button.
Here you go. I'll let you do the honors
Okay,
and talk us through this.
Okay, so look, this is
Okay.
any 10 premium vodka. So
Okay.
I got involved with this company. A good friend of mine come up with the concept, and he actually said to me, he said, you know, when you look at what's happened with gin, right?
Yeah.
He said, you know, I think like vodka has never really been that cool. Like, you know, if you go out to a club, people will order Belvedere or Grey Goose, but there hasn't really ever been a really cool vodka. And he said, I've got this idea where I'm going to do 3 flavours originally. There'll be an original, the pink apple, which is this one,
Okay.
and then a blue raspberry. And then there's plans to do a peach in a gold bottle and a black cherry in a sort of black bottle. So, and he said, I've got this, you know, he's obviously painted the bottles and he's actually got the like a torch in the bottom.
Yeah.
So when you actually pour this out, it lights up the glasses. And obviously in a club, when you see that and it's all lit up, everyone's like, I want one of them.
Yeah.
So, so that's a new thing. I never thought I would ever be able to say that. You know, I mean, look, I've watched so many celebrities, actors, musicians launch their own drinks brands, and you know, for me, I was never a massive fan of vodka. I mean, I drank it, but I was never, you know, oh, I'll have a vodka. I'd always drink rum or red or white wine. But I tried that, and it's made with the same grain as Grey Goose, so it's premium. Like, you know, you can't get any better than that. And they distill it 5 times, and it's actually
pretty pure,
made
less calories.
made in Britain as well.
Okay.
So it's
what's the price point?
Well, on that one, yeah, when we sell it to, you know, the sort of bars and restaurants, it's like $24.99, including VAT. But I think if you actually buy it physically online, I think they're around £32 a bottle.
Okay. Okay.
But we've done, you know, it's only been going really properly a few months.
Yeah,
and it's
I've seen
already the fastest growing new vodka brand in England. And what's good about the flavours on that as well is they're all premium vodkas. What a few other people have done is they've basically, and I didn't know anything about this, but obviously now I'm doing this, I've sort of found out about it. But a lot of flavoured vodkas are 35%,
right,
which means they're not
pure.
premium, right?
Okay.
That's 40%. So all their flavours are premium vodkas. So where other people are doing flavoured spirits, basically,
yeah,
we're doing premium vodka flavours.
Okay.
So it's going to be exciting. We're aiming to float it on the stock market this year. So that's another company that's going to go on the stock market, which is good.
Got your fingers in all the pies.
But that'd be here. So obviously the Canadian thing come about really because one of my partners in the company was in Canada. He lives in Australia, but he was aware of the thing that was going on with this company, and he said, actually, we can use that for the films that we release using this model. So we needed cybersecurity. They had it. We had the digital studio idea. They wanted it. So that's how that all works. So, you know, there's a couple of exciting things. We got a new Foot Soldier film coming out this year.
Okay.
Or around October time. And as I said, we're looking to make Tales from a Trap, which will be this Dark Horse digital studio production. We've got a few other films that we're in talks with people and we're attaching directors and talent to. And I think a lot of those will be, with our game, we will be announcing stuff as and when it happens. But what I don't like doing is announcing stuff and then it gets delayed or it doesn't happen. But
Absolutely.
we have got some really exciting stuff.
Do you know what, Terry? Look, this has been so fascinating. Like, normally I talk a lot more in a podcast, but I've just it's just been brilliant listening to you. Sometimes you just got to listen and be like, you know, listen, what's happening. you're keeping up with all the times. You've been there in the 90s, noughties. You're now bringing yourself up to a new level with NFTs, crypto, new brands, collaborating. You're doing all the right things. And I think we're going to need to do a part 2 at some
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
You know, we need, because there's so many things. Like, I haven't even asked you, not one of the questions, because you've just kept me going. I'm like, I've still got all the content to ask you for next time. There's so many things we wanted to know, but you've ticked off quite a lot.
Yeah.
But,
But there
it's
is
been absolutely...
so I've got one other announcement, right?
Go on.
I'm actually going to be doing my own podcast as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so
Shout it out.
we're basically going to be doing a podcast called The Criminal Connection.
Okay.
And you know, what one of the things that, again, when you actually do the research and you look at the analytics and blah blah blah, everybody loves true crime. So whether it's on the TV, whether it's on the radio, whether it's reading books, whether it's watching films. I mean, you know, there was a 3-part Essex Boys Murders, documentary on Sky, which has reignited all the interest in the first Rise of the Foot Soldier and obviously the subsequent ones. So, again, I just thought, I've got so many great contacts from writers, directors, actors, producers, people that have been wrongly accused of crimes, law firms, king's councils.
Yes.
Some of these UK rap stars that have obviously been involved in shootouts or drug deals, or they've just been arrested. But a lot of them have actually had problems where they've where they've been rapping about stuff on online. The police have actually come in and said, you're actually inciting violence. You're actually talking about things, and a lot of them talking about things they've done. So, and that's obviously led to them getting arrested. So
that's awesome. Like, you've got that great little network. A lot of people do it with the boxing.
Yeah.
Talk about boxing pundits, all of that.
Well, the thing is,
it's like finance, and you've got the filming.
Well, the thing is, look, I've produced and developed some really good crime films, right, that people know, and they obviously, I'm well known for playing Tony Tucker with a silly wig in Rise of the Foot Soldier. So, I've played, bent cops, famous gangsters, period crime with Jack Spot in Once Upon a Time. So I've played, these sort of characters. I've developed these films. I've obviously got an interest in, from when I was 16, I was watching Goodfellas and Godfather and all these types of films.
Yeah.
I think what we want to do with that podcast is we want to make it fun, and we want to give people an insight into things they don't necessarily know. So
sounds awesome. Well, I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know when we launch it.
Yeah, but, maybe come on again and shout about a few of the things that we've spoken about when they come to fruition.
Yeah,
and we can shout it out again.
Brilliant.
Terry, is there any question you'd like to ask me before we wrap up?
I enjoyed hearing about your story when we was walking up. And obviously we're both ex Ronald McDonald employees. I think we covered quite a lot of stuff.
Covered a hell of a lot of stuff. I definitely think this is a part 2. In a few months, we'll definitely have to open that up again, because definitely. You've got so much to say, and that's what I love.
Do you know what would be really good? That when we do part 2, we'll be able to say Tales from a Trap is in the can. The vodka's floated.
There we go.
And the company in Canada is doing really well. We've got these other films that we're now putting into production. So
100.
Very excited.
100. Yeah. If you could just look straight into your camera and just let them know how they can all follow you.
Hi, this is Terry Stone. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, which I haven't really mastered yet, and Facebook.
And what's the handle for Instagram?
At Terry Stone Official.
There we go, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you really enjoyed this episode, guys, and it's brought you plenty of value. I know it's definitely brought me a lot of value. We'll have part 2 coming out at some stage. Don't forget to like, comment, press the share button with some of your friends or families, and we'll have another one coming out to you very soon. Take care. Peace.
Yep. Thank you, Sean. That was great, mate.